Hello and welcome to Cody and a Corbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates talk about a new movie every week. This week on the show, we're talking about Dune.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes.
The 2021 Dune from Denis Villeneuve. I'm your host, Corbin Zavocal, and as always, I'm joined by my sandworm-like co-host, Cody Webb.
I don't even know what that means. I'm a sandworm or something, but yeah, interesting intro. But Corbin, do you know what episode this is, dude?
It's episode 1 of season 3.
Oh my goodness. We're on the 3rd season of the show. It's unfathomable to me. Unfathomable, whatever the word is. But yeah, man, we've been doing this for a little while now, and I'm jacked for the 3rd season.
Yeah, season 3, we got some new categories. We introed one of them in the season finale of season 2 with Jackson and Carter. But we also have a couple things that are going to be surprises for you guys today. So why don't we just go ahead and get into it? I had the first pick, so let me talk about why I chose Dune.
Why?
And then maybe Cody can say if he was a willing participant in the watching of the movie or not. So I figured season 3 opener, I wanted to go back to our roots a little bit. In season 1, we did Gone Girl for the very first episode. And kind of the reasoning behind that was I'd been trying to get Cody to watch Gone Girl for months. Every time I bring it up, Cody say no. And I figured we haven't, if you're a fan of the show, you know, Cody has yet to see Dune up until this past weekend. So I figured what better time than the season opener to finally make this dude watch a movie. So we went Dune. Obviously, on top of that, it was just recently nominated for Best Picture. And, you know, it's a pretty topical movie right now. So I figured it's finally time for Cody to watch it. Cody was visiting this weekend. So I said, we're going to sit down on the projector and watch Dune.
That is all true. Yeah, you had to drag me down to Purdue just to watch this movie. But no, I'm joking. I think it's actually a good pick from you.
It's technically up.
Yeah, whatever. Don't start that. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good pick from you. Obviously, it was a movie that I had wanted to watch. You know, obviously Denis, one of my favorite working directors, and it's an all-star cast, and it's got good reviews, and it's nominated for an Oscar, blah, 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 blah. Go on and on. But I mean, right when I get HBO Max, they just tore it right off. So that's who I'm really blaming here today. But I'd say it's definitely a good pick from you. I mean, I haven't seen it before, and it's very topical. So yeah, I back what you're saying.
You want to move on? Any other initial thoughts you have to share?
Good morning, Vietnam!
Oh, I have a lot of initial thoughts. We might be here for a while, but
let's get into it.
Yeah, I think off the bat, here's a precursor, because a lot of what I say might not seem that I think this in the end, but I do. This is a good movie. This is a very well-made movie. A lot of good actors in it. A lot of good people behind the scenes, and I do enjoy it. 100%. The thing off the bat is I do want to rewatch it just because there's so much going on. There's so much lore behind this book as well. It is a book. This is a book, in my opinion. I'm just gonna spew off the mouth here. Like, this is just one half of the book, so I don't know what to think about it, because it's like
good math. I like it.
I've seen half a movie, and it was an interesting half of the movie, but that's not really a movie in my eyes. A movie's got a beginning, it's got a middle, it's got an end. This has a beginning and it has a middle. There's no like definitive ending where it's like, yeah. I mean, things happen, obviously, and there is an ending.
It's like we had like a little mini climax in this film.
Yeah.
And then things like slowed down a little bit, but then like we're building to like something so much greater.
100%. And I think when you probably push the part 2 and this one together, it will be much more cohesive, obviously, and I'll probably enjoy that experience more if I just binge watch both those. But anyways, I also think this might be one of the most. Oh, I do want to go back to my first point. Actually, I'm sorry. Season 3, baby, we back. But first off, I mean, the amount of story threads in this movie, I don't even know. Well, let's just recount some of them as quickly as we can. Obviously, first off, you have sort of the Game of Thrones dynamic, where it's all about the family name, and it's family versus family who can last the longest.
Atreides.
Then you also have the Star Wars action to it. You have an emperor, you have space travel, you have mining planets for resources, all that good stuff.
And the Emperor storyline is like so complex because it's like he makes one move in order to make another move to pit the two houses against each other, and like it's also calculating, and nobody that's involved is fully like aware of all the calculations that the Emperor are doing, and not even the audience.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, where the fuck's the Emperor? But we'll get to that later. But I mean, and then as well, that's what I thought the gist of the movie was, but it's really not about that at all. If I'm being honest, it's more about a Messiah. Is he a fake Messiah? Is he a real Messiah? And this hidden society behind the scenes, and this whole sisterhood, which I do think is interesting. I just didn't know shit about it coming in. So I think it's just like,
I think that was like the place you were most confused, right? Like the whole Bene Gesserit.
I couldn't even process half of it because it was going so quickly. I mean, I'm an idiot, to be fair, but I mean, coming in cold to a movie like this is so difficult just because of all the lore behind it. I do think the themes are super interesting, and I think if I watch it again, it'll obviously be a lot better. But I think in the grand scheme of things, maybe you could have split this up into 3 movies. I don't fucking know. You probably could have done it in 1 too, and you got whatever the 80s version was. But yeah, I have more thoughts, but I'll throw it over to you. Kind of random at the fucking chomp here, but go for it.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think the first thing I said when I walked out of that movie for the first time seeing it in theaters was, I think that was a really good movie. Like it was my favorite movie of last year. Straight up, it was my favorite movie. I thought it was so good, but then I was like, the second movie, the sequel to this, might be one of the greatest movies of all time. Like that's where the expectations are set, because this is so good and it's only half a movie. It's not a complete story. So my thinking is like, if this is done right to this level of quality, the second part I think could be like one of my favorites of all time. But I think this just like, because it like you said, it's half a movie. It's part 1. And it wasn't even really advertised as just being a part 1. They didn't know if they were going to even be able to make part 2. It wasn't officially greenlit by Warner Brothers because this is the state of fucking movies. We don't know if a $300 million movie about some science fiction novel from 1965 is going to do well enough in theaters. And it really didn't make that much money in theaters, but there was the HBO Max of it all, same day release. A lot of people chose to stay home. There's a pandemic. Luckily, it made enough to be greenlit and to be guaranteed opening in theaters. I don't know if that's good or bad for it's a complex topic. We talked about it on the last show, but I don't know. It's half a movie. Like you said, that's really my like main thing. Obviously it's very expansive. It's an impressive feat. I don't know many directors that could take on something of this level. There's a couple that I think could maybe handle it, but for the most part, like this is like, the fact that this didn't get nominated for Best Director is insane to me, because it is the most impressive of all the movies, I think, in the last 10 years, like directorially. He's managing 2 different teams in different countries on these huge sets out in the desert, and this insane storyline that doesn't make sense on the surface, and putting all these parts together, an incredible score, crazy production design, some of the best VFX of all time, all into one. Like, you need a general, you need a master of the craft to be able to handle it. That's what the director does. He manages all those parts, and it's impressive. And the man got snubbed. I gotta say it right here.
Yeah, no, I love the passion, man. I probably back that. Denis, he always deserves better. The Academy doesn't respect.
I think it's gonna be a Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings. Dune Part 2 is gonna maybe sweep the Academy Awards.
I don't know about that. The thing is, I agree with most of what you're saying, but I don't think this is a masterpiece by any means. My one big thing that I really dislike about it is I think it's a little bit overly intense and sometimes overacted, which isn't a bad thing.
I think there's
But
one person in particular that is at the forefront of it that maybe is acting a little too much.
this is like a serious movie. Obviously, it's a
Right,
drama.
right.
It's a straight up drama. There's not much funny or fun stuff about this. Like, this is just war. These are people trying to survive, and the intensity is going to be there. But yeah, I think some made some interesting choices. I think directorially, if that's a word, also there were some interesting choices, just with the adaptation and everything. But I'm sure we'll get into everything here. But overall, yeah, definitely a solid flick here.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to our next category, which is a new category. Right at the top, roll the credits.
Roll credits.
So for this new category, it encompasses a couple different things. First of all, the title of the movie. Does the title of the movie appear in a film? That's something that's always interesting. And in Clueless, when she says, "Oh, she's so clueless," like, "Oh, hey, roll the credits. There's Clueless," right? So we'll talk about that when it comes to movies, and then also the actual credits. So the opening title card, some credits that roll at the end. It encompasses a couple different things. Maybe if the title card comes in later, just different stuff like that that could be interesting. So Cody, you want to take it away from the top? Roll credits for the very first time.
Yeah, I'll lead off. Funny enough, I'm sort of talking about where you're interesting. I feel like this category is a fun one because you can go a lot of different ways with it. And I just wanted to talk about off the bat, what Dune, that actual word, means to the story. Because you could correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't believe it's said in the movie. Is that
No,
wrong?
they don't say it. They don't say it. But Dune is the name of the planet, essentially. But it's the name they use is Arrakis, which I think is the Fremen word. I don't know the native word, but Dune is like a colloquial term for the planet that they're on.
Right. It's literally just the setting of the movie, which I think is a cool title.
And there are dunes.
There are a lot of sand dunes, and you see Timmy and what's her face,
Rebecca Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson, yeah. I was gonna say Rachel McAdams. That's definitely wrong. Yeah, they're running around the dunes all day. So I do like the title, and I'll throw it over to you for the credits. I do have another interesting, like, just Denis fact about all of his titles, but I want to hear about like the opening and the ending part.
So I think the big thing, I already addressed it. You go to the movie, goes up, Dune Part 1.
Yeah.
No marketing material whatsoever anywhere else like identified it as being a Part 1. It was really strange. Why not just advertise it as Part 1? People know what they're getting. I know, like, specifically one person that I listen to a lot, their podcast, Sean Fennessy, Big Picture. He was like visibly mad when he sat down and was like, "This is a Part 1." I wasn't mad, but
yeah.
It's a surprise, right? Like,
yeah, I was like, what the hell? I did not expect that at all. In the first couple shots of the movie, it's like, oh, Part 1, sick. Gotta watch the sequel now.
And then the other thing that actually happens right before Dune Part 1, and it's literally like the first second of the movie, you get in a language that is not English, a message that says "Dreams are messages from the deep," which I think thematically obviously comes up later with the dreams that Timmy's having. Are they visions of the future? Some things that he sees don't come true, but sometimes they do come true, right? He sees Zendaya. She obviously appears later. He sees Duncan Idaho dying. Spoiler alert. Jason Momoa gets the can. And then, he also sees himself reacting with that Jamis character and having a good kind relationship with him. And obviously that dude wants to kill him, and he ends up killing him later in the movie. So, dreams are messages from the deep, but what do they mean? It kind of whole plays into the Messiah of it all. Do you have any thoughts about that, Cody?
Yeah.
And the language is Sardaukar, which is the language of the army that comes and kills him, or kills all their people, basically.
Yeah. I like that. The more detail and sort of that stuff you put into a movie like that, I think that's super interesting. Denis, obviously he does his research, and that is an interesting quote off the bat too, because it's sort of like, is he seeing the future? He sort of is, but at the same time he's sort of not. So yeah, I don't know. The thing about this movie as well is the more you think about it, like, the deeper and deeper you can go into it, which is something I do like a lot. That's why I think a rewatch will be fun. But I mean, off the bat, I think a quote like that is definitely a good table setter for the first act.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to add to that about Denis' credits?
Yeah, basically, I mean, Denis has a weird thing where the majority of his movies all have one-word titles. There is one glaring exception. Do you know what the exception is?
Well, I know of two exceptions, but yeah.
Well, let's rattle them off. Let's go, film buff.
Well, there's Blade Runner 2049.
Yes, that's the obvious one.
And
What's
then
the
he
other
has a film called Encendies, which is that one word? I thought it was two words.
I don't know. It's
It
not
is one word. It is his
Doesn't count.
2010. It's one word. Okay, there you go, Cody. Blade Runner 2049.
But yeah, Blade Runner. I think it's just because he was forced into that title, likely from studio corruption. But I mean, he's got Rival, he's got Prisoners, Enemy, Dune,
Sicario.
Yeah, I think that's super dope. And just the one-word title, in my opinion, that's the best sort of title. You got these, movies nowadays going, 3 billboards outside, blah, blah, blah. How many goddamn words can you pack
No
on a
Time to
poster?
Die.
I mean, dude, just make it
Spider-Man,
simple.
No Way Home.
Yes, the Spider-Man titles are stupid as hell as well. But I mean, just give me something simple. Give me Dune. Give me E.T. Give me Jaws. You know what you're getting into, and you don't need anything
Star
else.
Wars.
That's 2 words, Corbin.
Yeah, but it's to the point. 2 syllables.
You have to break it though. It's got to be what, Dune Part 2. What are they gonna call a sequel?
Yeah,
Ocean.
because
Where are they going?
I mean, the title of the book, to be fair, is Dune, so it's not like he took any creative liberties there. But he did choose this. This was his passion project for a really long time. So he was dedicated to the one-word title.
They should name it like Spice or something different than Dune, I think. But don't ask.
Yeah, the next. So his plan is he wants to adapt. He wants to make 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to make 2 movies out of the first book and then adapt the second book, which I believe is called Dune Messiah, into the third movie, which is the title of the book. I don't think it's a spoiler. Yeah, so he'll, Dune Part 2, but maybe he'll just call it. Maybe he'll still just call it Dune and all the marketing.
Probably.
What about
I'd like that.
2 Dune, 2
Furious,
Dooney, 2 Sandy?
2 Dune, 2 Zendaya. Yeah, I'm down.
Let's move on to a classic category. Stupidest part.
You stupid.
Since you just said Zendaya's name, I gotta bring up, where the fuck is Zendaya in this movie? We got Zendaya baited. All the marketing. If you take like the percentage that she's in, I mean, how prominent she is on the poster, how much she's in the trailer, and you take that to her actual screen time, I don't actually have that pulled up, but it's less than 10 minutes, right? I mean, she also pretty much only appears in visions. She only shows up as a real person in the final, couple minutes. What are your thoughts on this, Cody?
Yeah, that was the first thing on my list as well. I don't know why there's like 50 Zendaya visions, and all of them are the exact same thing where she's just looking cool.
I mean, how much was she on set? Like fucking 2 weeks max? She barely put any work. She got a cool little paycheck though.
I'd say maybe less. Oh, she got paid big time for this too. I mean,
7 minutes. 7 minutes.
Really? How long is the movie? Like 2.5 hours? She did it for 7 minutes. That is crazy. But she got big time payday for this, and as well, I just all the vision.
This says she only got $300,000.
I don't buy that.
But all her fucking marketing materials, that's where they made their money.
I guess so. But yeah, all the visions are pretty much the same as well. It's just her looking cool. And then one time she just stabs him for no reason, which, maybe that happens in the second part and that's like a cool throwback. But if not, that's pretty fucking stupid. But I do have a couple others as well. The main gripe I have is with that doctor guy who sold him out. What do you think about that guy, Corbin?
His family, dude.
Yeah, but what did he think was going to happen when he, betrayed the Tyrells? That's not their name.
I mean, yeah, he's not very smart. Atreides is their name.
Game of Thrones. No, but I mean, that guy, I feel like that doesn't make any sense in any scope of a plan. Like, you're going to turn him over to the fish guy and expect not to get killed by him. I don't know. And, leading into that segment, what the fuck's going on with this fish guy? I don't understand. I didn't read the books. I didn't do any research.
So he's not he's just a he just floats.
He's swimming around on air.
He's like a fat guy who floats. And then he just wears a long cloak, so it looks like he has like a snake body, but he just floats.
What, is there no explanation? He just floats.
He has like the ability to float. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not okay. You keep John.
All right. I mean, just he looks like a fish and a little bit of a snake, and somehow he survives the poison as well. He just swims to the top of the room and holds his breath for presumably like 3 days. But yeah, he just like camping out in some sludge or something. No,
he was basically okay. So the answer: he's so fat he can't hold himself up, so he wears this thing that floats him around, and he uses it to like make him menacing.
It's not very menacing, I'm not gonna lie, but I do like his hangouts. He's in that weird fog pit at the beginning. That was kind of sick, and then just straight up just sludge, black sludge at the end. Recuperating. I'm sure intaking all of that nutrients from there. But yeah, that's definitely one of my qualms with the movie. I don't think the villain is super strong or interesting. Obviously, Stellan Skarsgård. I'm sure he had a lot of notes from the writers and the directors on how to play this based off of what was in the novel and everything. But I don't know. It's just not interesting to me at all. The Dave Bautista family, I feel like, didn't get much of a rap in this. That's probably because they're not the big bads, and we just haven't seen the big bads yet. But I thought that was one of the weaker points in the movie.
Sure. What do you think about the relationship between Timmy and his mother?
It's definitely a strange one. Obviously, you got secret cults and alliances being tested of a possible messiah. I believe she wasn't even supposed to have a son, so she's kind of going against her whole order there. And
there's some weird interactions though. Like you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean, like sexually?
Yeah, there's like some weird sexual tension there, right?
Is there?
I think I've definitely seen other people talking about it online.
Maybe like one scene, yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Is there sexual chemistry between those two?
I think they're playing it that way because I think there might be some subtext there in the novel. I mean, I don't know. Oedipus is thriving.
I mean, it's his mom. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention too much to that, I guess. But if you say so, I believe you.
Okay.
You got nothing?
That's all I got.
What do you think what do you think about the weird voice thing? I want to hear your thoughts on that. We haven't talked about that.
So it's just like this power that the people can do.
That's it? You had no thoughts on it? I think it's stupid.
Okay. What's wrong with it? It's basically the Force, right?
Yeah, it's basically just ex machina, whatever the fuck you want. I mean, hey, we're trapped in a helicopter with some goons. Hey, drop the fucking gun. Hey, Timmy Chalamet's having issues with his life. Hey, don't fucking do that. I don't know. It seems like the ultimate cop out of it can get you out of any situation at any time. But I don't know. I think it's more just plot driven than an actual cool thing like the Force.
I don't know. I think it's supposed to be pretty heavily integrated into the plot, so maybe you'll feel better about it after part 2. Speaking of the Force, I think one drawback of this movie is that the original source material has influenced so many things in modern day that have done it so well and expanded upon it and made it more accessible or more interesting than maybe this is. Whereas like it almost makes this worse because we've seen Star Wars that like made something that's like very similar, took a lot of the themes. The birth of science fiction happened with Dune, but maybe it did some things better, especially like making it easy to get into and like making it like Star Wars has so much shit in its world, but it's still super accessible to people of all ages. Well, I think Dune is expansive, but it's hard to get into, right? Like it's there's so much there. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with that 100%. That was sort of a precursor to my initial thoughts, naming off all those things. I mean, being that this novel came out in 1965, obviously it influenced other stuff, but I mean, I saw all of that other stuff first. Like it's literally The Matrix, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, all wrapped into one, which is sick. But at points I was in my head going, oh, they're just doing, oh, he's the one from the Matrix. Oh, that's kind of 1999, not really 2020.
And they stole from the Bible too.
They did steal from the Bible, and that's as old as it gets. But that's probably fair game by now. The Bible's got to be in public domain by now, right? But
yeah, I think it's been used a couple times.
Yeah, just a few. I do agree with what you're saying because if I had read this back in 1965, I probably would have been like, "Oh, the Matrix, it's a hack. It's just ripping off Dune." But the other way around, it's sort of tough to find that perspective of this did come first, but I'm seeing it much later than everything else it influenced.
Let's talk all the Star Wars similarities real quick. So obviously, you have the Emperor. You have a boy on a sand planet with two suns and some interesting people that are on the planet and that are kind of Middle Eastern representatives. So saying like the Tusken Raiders and then the Fremen people in this.
You've got
a dead dad. You've got the Force. Obviously, the boy is some sort of Messiah figure almost. He's the chosen one. That comes into play a little bit more in later Star Wars, obviously. I mean, there's a ton there. The influences are clear. George Lucas has made it very known that Dune was a heavy influence on the world he wanted to create. It's cool to think about, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of similarities, and I think that is cool. Like George Lucas sort of just babied the story down a little bit and made it more mainstream, which worked a lot like for him. So more power to him. But yeah, the original is a little bit more intense.
All right, let's move on to favorite scene.
She is very gorgeous to me.
Cody, what's your favorite scene?
I have a couple. My first one off the bat, just visually, the attack on Arrakis. I think it's I just love the couple shots of Josh Brolin pulling up and everything's just exploding in the background. Shades of Michael Bay from Denis there, but I mean visually very awesome. Also just the fighting styles and sort of the construction of the armies I think is really interesting. That specific scene on the stairs where they're pushing everybody down and then they get sandwiched obviously, but I think that's just very interesting just from a sort of style perspective and how to show a fight. And then I mean also like Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin, these dudes are absolute animals. Like I could watch these guys hack people with swords all day. So I mean that's definitely one of the more fun scenes in the movie, I would say. Just straight up absolute fist fight.
What do you think about the shields in this movie, in this universe?
Yeah, they're all right. It is interesting how different they would use them. I mean, this is what the year I don't know, 5,000 or something stupid. So
it's 10,000, but then also according to the lore that that was 10,000 years after some other shit. So really, it's insanely far into the future.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole point is that they've basically advanced to where they don't use guns anymore because guns move too fast, bullets move too fast, so they have to use slow striking to break the shields because otherwise they can't break them.
Yeah, I mean the thing with the shields is as well, maybe I just don't understand them, but I mean they don't work very well.
Right, they're not very successful.
You can get through them, it seems pretty easily. So I do like the visual concept of them, and I think in theory it also is very interesting. But I just don't know how effective they actually are,
That's fair. So my favorite scene is the what's in the box scene.
Really?
I really think it's just I think it's the best showcase of everything at once. The editing is super snappy and on par there. You get to go back between Paul and then his mom standing outside the door. Jessica, she's talking back and forth, basically talking Paul through the whole experience, even though she's not in the room. I think it's Timothy's best acting in the whole movie, which isn't saying a lot, but I think he does the pain really well. It's cool to see the dream sequences get interlaced in there as well. And then the score cuts in right as those dream sequences begin to happen. And you get to hear that iconic Hans Zimmer score. I think the words that Jessica are saying are really important and pivotal. So I just think all together, it's the most interesting to me.
Yeah, fair enough. That probably wouldn't have been my pick, but I do like some of the things you're saying. My other pick for favorite scene, it's when Timmy gets his first taste of the old spice, and sort of what you were saying, some interesting dream sequences along the way. But yeah, I just think that whole sequence as well is pretty cool. Obviously, they were set up to fail with the whole manufacturing spice thing, and they're going down there saving the guys, and then the worm pulls up right as Timmy's, going through a bunch of shit. I think visually as well, the worms. I mean, anything. I haven't even talked about the worms. Anything with the worms, I think, is very, very cool in this movie, and 100%, you couldn't have done it, until pretty recently. I think with obviously they tried in the 80s, and I haven't seen most of that movie, but I assume it's terrible. But I think just that scene as a whole, it really just shows like the relationship between Oscar Isaac and Timmy as well. And yeah, I'm a fan of it. I don't know, but all in all, sort of the, like you were saying, going back and forth between the visions and the fucking worms coming, I think it's intense, and it's something that got me off the edge of my seat a little bit. So yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next category. Another new category. Let's talk filmmaking.
We are Full Sail University. We take dreams seriously.
Obviously, I don't know, I'm a film school almost graduate here in May, or we can hope that I'm going to graduate, right? So I figured we would do a little bit of like a deep dive into like some choices that are being made, or like maybe like a filmmaking lesson almost about specific things they do in each movie. And it's pretty broad, pretty open, but Cody does apparently have something, so we'll get it started with the non-expert opinion.
Fair enough. Yeah, I did bring something along to class today, so not trying to be a teacher's
show and
pet.
tell.
Yeah, but basically Denis, and I've seen this in a couple of his other movies as well, he likes a good establishing shot, and nothing wrong with that. I think Arrival does it about as good as you can, showing off the elegance and the simplicity of the spaceships. But here, I think he might overdo it a little bit. I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 specific shots where it's just like a ship slowly rising or something slowly coming on the ground. And I think when you use that correctly, it can be amazingly effective, like it is in Arrival.
When it just keeps happening, it's like,
yeah, it's like
it takes away the importance in the moment.
And also, I think for a movie with so much in it, it makes the runtime a little bit excessive. But I still think
put a little Zack Snyder on us there. If you take away the slow-mo, this has got to be like an hour shorter.
Fair. But I think it can be very effective, and I think the first couple times in this movie it is pretty effective. But on that like 3rd and 4th one, it's kind of, I was like, even me, I'm no film buff out here, but I was kind of like, come on, dude, like we get it, you're a good director. But yeah, that's my piece to the film school today. So thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, I think it's almost just like, look at this like insane VFX thing that we just did, and like just be in awe of it. But like when it happens so many times, it takes away from the other ones. So what I wanted to talk about, I actually have 2 different things, and they're mostly related to like VFX stuff. So the first one is typically, they shoot these, like Marvel movies, these big budget movies on these giant sound stages, and everything is just a blue screen or a green screen, right?
Yeah.
And the reason they use those colors is typically like they don't appear in like most human clothing. They definitely don't appear in any shade of human skin. Nobody's green or blue. Whereas like if you use an orange or a red or a pink or a darker color, like that, those pigments appear in people's skin. But for this movie, they used what they called sand screens instead of green screens, and they were brown colored, which is actually really interesting because I mean, that is a color that appears in people's skin in this movie, but they were able to match it with the colors of the desert and then use chroma keying, which is when they take a color and remove that color from the scene. And then it created this more matte, more natural look because like the background and the lighting hit off the brown better, and it kind of fit the scenes that they were creating, instead of just being on a bright blue sound stage, which can cause some VFX issues. Now with that, I can't imagine that they were able to get a perfect chroma key out. So they probably did a decent bit of rotoscoping in these scenarios, which is when someone literally goes in and draws a line around the person. There's rotoscope artists, they draw lines, cut them out, and then every frame they're redoing it. used to literally cut the person out of the sheets of film. Now you obviously do this all digitally, but just really interesting that they would do something like that, and seem to obviously be pretty effective. Also talking about the sandworms, those were obviously done entirely computer generated, and
Wait, those aren't real?
they didn't shoot those out in Jordan. They wanted them to be kind of like whales, like the teeth are very similar to like that Finding Nemo scene where you see the whale teeth. And then like when the desert moves underneath them, obviously all that desert particle is generated. But they used water simulations to basically simulate the sand moving. So they used the same thing that a software that I actually am using in my computer graphics VFX class called Houdini, which does really amazing water simulations. Like the Good Dinosaur, they did all the simulations for the water in that. So they took basically a water simulation and they just turned it into sand to create the look of the sandworm rising out, which I think is really cool. And then the last thing is just to do with the sound, the Foley artists, special effects. A lot of things, Denis wanted them to go out and record sounds, not like in some studio. So they took a fake documentary realism approach to go out into nature and like capture sounds and then manipulate them and use them in the film. Like the shifting sand, like they actually filmed that on location. So
that's cool. Yeah, I mean the sounds. I feel like if you go out and do it yourself, you get some cool stuff. And I do like the water simulation as well. I feel like that's super creative and just turning it to sand. I mean, in a sense, it's going to move the same way if something's, taking it out from underneath. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Good film school day, my guy.
Thank you. And next one is Weird Movie Details Trivia, baby.
Right. Naked grandma. Naked, huh?
Yeah, I got two questions. What about you?
I have two as well.
Okay.
You want me to give you a softball off the bat?
Yeah, I'll start with the easy one.
Start off season 3. I'm feeling nice, so we'll give Corbin a couple pity points.
I'll start. I have an easy one for you as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my first question. Obviously, there are a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe actors in this movie. However, I'd like you to name the 2 DCEU actors in this movie. Go.
Jason Momoa and David Duchovny.
You're fucked. I thought that might slip by you, but
it took me a second. If you asked me all the MCU actors, I would take. I mean, it's not that many.
Decent amount.
Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, Stellan Skarsgård, Zendaya,
David Dushmalton, Ant-Man.
Who?
David Dushmalton, whatever his name is. He's an Ant-Man.
Oh yeah. He's also Polka Dot Man. So, all right. Easy question. Good softball. Yeah. Here's my easy question for you. Who directed the 1984 Dune?
My next question is about that movie, and I didn't look at the draft. Oh man, who would have directed that movie? It was 1984?
1984. He's still making movies. Still a director.
Oh man, he made a piece of garbage back in the 80s for sci-fi.
I'll tell you the last time a movie of his came out.
Okay, that'll probably help. Little to none. Who's a sci-fi director? I don't even know.
He's done a lot of documentary shorts.
That helps.
Recently, done some music videos. I don't know the last like major movie he directed.
J.J. Abrams.
I'll tell you some movies he directed. He directed Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. He wrote on Twin Peaks for 2 years. He wrote Mulholland Drive.
Okay, I know that.
Inland Empire.
No, is it like a classic director? I have no idea. Shoot me his name.
Eraserhead, he wrote and directed. David Lynch.
David Lynch. Yeah, I do know that name. But I would never guess. He would make shitty sci-fi in the 80s, to be fair. But I would never guess that. Appreciate the softball.
I came up with another question.
Huh?
I have another question for you.
Okay.
It's easy. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
What MCU actor was in the Dune 1984? Kind of a trick question. They have not made an official appearance yet in the
Okay, well, I
MCU.
know who it is. This is my question, you idiot.
Oh, well, I knew it. So
Well, that's I'll answer that later. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll answer later. All right, my next question: who played Timothy Chalamet's role in the 1980s version of Dune? That's
well,
it.
I didn't think he played his role.
Just give me a name. We're talking about.
I thought we were talking about Patrick Stewart. Is that not who we're talking about?
Oh, I was not talking about him at all.
Oh,
He's
I don't
in
know.
Dune.
Yes.
Never knew that.
I don't know who. Yeah, because he didn't. I think he played Gurney Halleck, or maybe he played his dad. Either way, I don't know. I can't remember his name. I know what he looks like.
Isn't it the what?
Gurney Halleck is who Thanos
That's the
plays.
Colt. Oh, Gurney Halleck. Yeah, okay, that guy's good. But yeah, you don't know who played Timmy's role in 1985, 1984, whatever. It's Kyle MacLachlan, who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
So technically, he is in the MCU.
Nope,
and also,
not canon.
It was that guy from Twin Peaks, whatever. Have you seen that show?
Yeah,
I've seen it for a lot. Sorry,
Patrick Stewart plays Gurney Halleck. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out, dude. I like to see a little young Patrick Stewart, a little Kyle MacLachlan. I think that'd be decent. Some terrible effects, I'm sure, but yeah.
All right, last question for you. There's a famous documentary that came out in 2013 titled Blank's Dune, and it chronicles a director in the mid 1970s who almost directed a version of Dune, but then it was like going to cost so much money, like an insane amount of money. He had this insane vision for it. It was going to be this massive project, and it was lost to time. And they made this documentary about it, which features the guy's last name. What are your thoughts?
I think that's super interesting. Somehow I've never heard about this either. Side note, did you know that the Beatles almost made Lord of the Rings like in the 50s or 60s or whatever?
I think I've heard about that, but I guess that's fitting that Peter Jackson then went and made a documentary about him. How cute.
True. I don't know. What is it, 70s? Who's the biggest director of the 70s? How about Francis Ford Coppola? Did he try to make Dune?
Nope. Would you like options?
Yeah, give me options, huh?
Steven Spielberg.
No.
Stanley Kubrick.
That's possible.
Wim Wenders. And Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Well, I only know those last two people, so I'll just it's definitely not that mofo Spielberg. So I'll go for the obvious, what's his face? I can't even remember his name. Kubrick. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Did he try to make Dune?
Was Alejandro Jodorowsky. And
I was going to say Kubrick.
Jodorowsky's Dune is what it's called, the documentary.
I would see that movie. Why not? But
Wim Wenders directed the movie Paris, Texas, which I guess came out in 1984, so it was still probably too late to.
I might have to change up my recast, dude. I want to see Stanley Kubrick direct this movie now. That's a hell of an idea.
Well, he was, contemporary with Frank Herbert, obviously. So, I mean, these books were still coming out like as he was making movies in the 60s, but it could have happened.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
We're going to throw it to a quick commercial and we'll be right back.
Throw it to the commercial.
It's been thrown.
And we're back.
Now we're finally going to get to everybody's favorite.
Oh, are we back?
Who can act? Yeah, you said and we're back, so I brought us back.
Who can act or who can't act?
Who can act?
Can't?
Can.
Oh, okay. Who can act?
Wow.
Yeah, I got a couple of choices here. I want to hear yours first, though, Corbino.
I think I said it to you when you were watching the movie, but I think Jason Momoa is like the best part about the movie. I think every scene that Jason Momoa is in, he's absolutely just chewing it up and taking full advantage of it. He outshines everybody he's in a scene with, from the very first time you see him to the very sad last time you do see him. He's just great. There's never a dull moment when Jason Momoa is on screen.
I agree wholeheartedly. He was my first choice as well. I did include a question mark next to his name because I'm not sure if he can actually act. But in this movie, he's great.
He's having a lot of fun.
He's having a lot of fun. He's just like such an unbelievably nice guy too. Such a great role model, Timmy. And I believe around like halfway through it, I even said to you, "This guy's toast. He's 100% gonna die."
Well, you also were like, I mean, everyone died, to be fair.
Well, that's true.
And then they also had like said he had a vision that he was gonna die. So you picked the guy who was like,
yeah, but just his character as well. You know that guy was gonna die. But I mean, Momoa, I agree 100%. He great performance, and also he's just a complete badass. So yeah, 100%. But my second pick, I do have another one, is Oscar Isaac. I think he is very, very good in this movie. And I think his performance is sort of something that would be very good in a Game of Thrones type setting where, like, that's his main focus in this movie, obviously, just the house name, trying to keep everybody alive. And I mean, if that's not Game of Thrones, I don't know what is. But that specific scene with
they don't do a very good job of keeping people alive in that show.
Yeah, that's why it's a good show. But the scene with Timmy in the graveyard, I think was actually very, very good from both of them. And specifically where he's talking about, I didn't even want to like come into power, but situation arises and sometimes you gotta step up. And him telling him as well is like, even if you aren't gonna succeed me, like you're still my son and I don't give a fuck. I think Oscar Isaac just pulled that off beautifully. And great speech, and rip that guy. I wish he was in the next one, but definitely good in this movie.
What about when he said desert power?
That was less cool, but still a good performance.
He just wants to ride sandworms, dude. Who doesn't?
I mean, I don't blame him. That was pretty sick.
Obviously, like I said, Jason Momoa is great, but I think, and Oscar Isaac is great too as well. But I think the person who like is the best like acting chops wise in this is probably one of the smaller names, but she plays a prominent role, Rebecca Ferguson, in this.
I think she's that small of a name, honestly.
But comparatively, like she current culture for sure, like in pop culture, she's definitely like, if you looked who is the best actor, people would say it's Rebecca Ferguson before even watching the movie. And then she still, I think she is the best just straight actor. Obviously she was in The Greatest Showman, and like the Mission Impossible stuff, but like, I don't know, is Mission Impossible really at the forefront of culture? Did people really, I mean, the Golden Globes liked The Greatest Showman, but I don't think anybody else cared. So yeah, but she's not Jason Momoa, she's not Timothée Chalamet, she's not Dave Bautista, she's not even Javier Bardem. I mean,
I'd say she's about on the same level.
She's not Zendaya.
Oscar
Isaac was in Star Wars though, like the big, like, and he's gonna be in the MCU. He's in Moon Knight.
Oh, like, Dameron. He's got a costume over his face. You can't even see him. He's also Apocalypse, which is a joke. But I mean,
and he plays the animated Spider-Man 2099. He's in 3 Marvel projects. You told me people don't love Oscar Isaac?
I love Oscar Isaac, but I don't think he's a household name like your Batistas and your Zendayas out here,
Your Batistas, yeah.
But I do agree she's very good at this. But I think just she probably has the most acting to do in this as well.
For sure.
Especially with the one-on-one stuff with Timmy at the beginning, and then whatever all the cult shit is too. I mean, she's got a lot going on in this movie. So yeah.
She's not even Oscar Isaac's wife. Did you catch that? It's just his concubine.
Yeah, they're not married. I think I said that during the movie. I was like, wait, what? They're not married? What?
Yeah, you really got to pay attention to every line, man. There's stuff there.
They're trying to evade, those damn taxes, man.
I think you're better if you get married.
No, you're not. Oh, you don't know it. You don't know about it then.
Well, they have dependents,
if you don't marry, 100% taxes are way less.
You just keep telling yourself that for your rest of your
I'm not.
Who can act?
That's a low blow, but it's true. It's true.
That's my opinion!
Moving swiftly on. My who can't act. Well, first off, I want to throw out some honorable mentions. These people aren't specifically bad, but I think they were just wasted potential. Obviously, Zendaya. I mean, we talked about it before. Not sure what she's doing here. But also Stellan Skarsgård is my honorable mention. I think it has less to do with his performance and just some of the choices overall for the character that really just took me out of his performance. I mean, he really doesn't have that many lines. I feel like it's a lot more menace through vision than anything else. But we also talked about this a little bit earlier as well, but we didn't name drop him. my worst actor is easily Josh Brolin. I mean, he is about as intense as a human being could possibly be on screen, which I respect. Sometimes
the thing
not
is like he's doing the Thanos voice, but like that's not his regular voice.
Yeah, you're also correct there. He's going deeper for some reason, and just his first line off the bat, I think as well, was Oscar Isaac was like telling him to smile. He's like, "Oh, smile, it's water," or something fucking stupid. I was like, I'm gonna hate this guy. and then Timmy's having a bad day, and he legit just starts beating the shit out of him and starts throwing knives and stuff at him. I don't know. His character's kind of a dick, which I'm fine with, but the way he portrays it as well is just like a psychotic dick. Like this guy has no redeeming qualities based off performance, and
Then he just gets killed like a chump.
That's also true. He also just yells too much.
Actually, I guess we don't know for sure if he's dead because he doesn't die on screen. But
oh, does he not? I thought he got stabbed or something.
I don't think he dies on screen.
Oh,
but...
bro. Well, maybe he's alive. Maybe he's coming back for part 2. But yeah, Josh Brolin. I mean, I feel like he is the obvious choice here, but I'm still gonna pick him.
Yeah, I think I mean, yeah, Josh Brolin, we were talking about it, but I also got to go Timmy here.
Really?
I think the box scene is great. I think he's overacting a lot at points. Like he's supposed to seem kind of tough, which like it's Timmy, he's not really tough at all. Like, but he's also like a 15-year-old. Like he's playing a 15-year-old character is what it's supposed to be. So there's supposed to be some youthfulness and inexperience. But every time he tries to do like the super serious, like I'm the troubled son of Duke Atreides and I gotta take over and like I'll marry the emperor. Like that stuff. Like yeah, it does. I don't think he hits it quite right.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The stuff near the end where he's like, the chick's like, "You're gonna claim the throne? Are you fucking kidding me right now?" And he's just giving some bullshit speech.
Which I don't know. Maybe that's supposed to be in the character of like this guy seems like a joke, but
maybe. I mean, he's the chosen one, so I don't know.
That's fair.
He's supposed to act that way, I guess. It's sort of is Timmy acting?
But is he the chosen one?
Is that a character choice? I mean, probably. It's a fucking movie, and they're calling him the chosen one, so I don't know why he wouldn't be. What does the chosen one do?
There's false messiahs all the time that start jihad wars and.
Well, yeah, he's gonna start a holy war pretty quick here. But what even is the prophecy? Do you know? What is he supposed to do? Just free everybody?
I think it's supposed to be like the son of. I don't know because there's also like this thing of she's having another child. And I know that poses some complications of like, is this other kid the Messiah, the chosen one, or is it?
Depends if it's a guy, I guess. But it's something to do with he can bridge like space and time together, I believe, where you can see the future. Yeah,
right.
A rival thing where you can just view all points in time at the same time. I don't fucking know, but these guys love him evidently, and he's the chosen one. So it's definitely not going to be his little brother who's the chosen one. It's going to be Timmy. Come on now.
Let's talk recasting.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Cody, Stanley Kubrick's directing this movie for you now?
I wish I had that prepared because I think I could actually bring a great pitch with this Kubrick spin on it. But I do have a couple recasts. I'll go for one and then bounce it over to you. Usually in this category, I bring in Dave Bautista to replace, the worst actor. Turns out Dave Bautista's in this movie already, which is pretty sad. However, I don't give a fuck. We're doing it anyways. Dave Bautista and Josh Brolin. We're just switching them roles. Okay. Bautista, he's got what, 4 or 5 lines. Just be like, "Uncle, what should we do? Should we attack him?" Yeah, fucking attack him, you idiot. What are you talking about? Yeah, put Josh Brolin in that role. He could be like, "Uncle, get out of the slud. We gotta go." And then Dave Bautista's out here, training Timmy Chalamet. I think that would be sick. And it'd give Bautista a little bit more arc instead of just being, this bald, pale guy, which I think he's a little bit wasted in this movie, if I'm being honest. So yeah, that's my recast. Just switch him up.
Yeah, I think Dave Bautista could play that role, but what?
Nothing, yeah.
I don't know about Josh Brolin and the other one. I think that guy's kind of supposed to seem like a bit of a weakling and like a loser, and like I think Dave Bautista kind of like manages to do that with like the bald head and like their whole like race of people is weird. I think in the books they're redheads, but they decided to make them bald instead. But no more redhead discrimination. My pick, I will also be replacing Dave Bautista, but I'm not putting him somewhere else in the movie. I'm just straight replacing him. And we're taking a little actor called Bruce Willis, and he's coming in. He's already got the bald head. So I'm thinking like Pulp Fiction Bruce Willis. I think that's the move. What are your thoughts, Cody?
I think it's a terrible choice. Isn't Pulp Fiction? He still got hair on the sides though. You gotta shave all.
Well, we'll shave it off. It's fine. But like that attitude, that's what I want.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of Unbreakable too, like that kind of air.
I feel like it's a waste of him though. I mean, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna do the same?
What is this a waste of Dave Bautista? I mean, everybody's wasted. Yeah. We waste Javier. We waste Zendaya. I mean, everybody just. It's a huge movie. Everyone wants to be a part of it. Let's get Bruce Willis.
We'll get Javier got his due. I'd say Zendaya and Dave Bautista are wasted. Those are the two.
About Stellan Skarsgård.
I don't even know what the fuck he is. I mean, he gets no time in general, and he's not an integral part of the story. So I mean, that's the same with Dave Bautista's character. But who the fuck cares about those guys?
I don't know. I think Bruce Willis is the move, man.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, my second one. I am getting rid of Stellan Skarsgård. Actually, I was just backing him a little bit, but I want to bring in somebody who can do weird really well, and funnily enough, I'm picking Benicio del Toro.
Thought you were gonna pick Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, no, he disappointed in Eternals, so I had to pass on him. But Benicio, the specific role. Well, obviously he's in Sicario too, so he's worked with Denis in the past, which is a plus. And he's a crazy guy in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a performance I really enjoy from him. So let him go off the walls here with this. I mean, this guy's floating around. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Nobody really does. He's in, shit and sludge or whatever. But I think Benicio, he'd be eating the sludge. That's how crazy this guy is. And I think you add a little bit of psychoticness to this sort of menacing and antagonistic character would make it a little more interesting.
This is because of your love for The Last Jedi, right?
Yeah, this is me giving him another chance after The Last Jedi. So he could be on his knees begging right now for another role after that, abomination. But I think this could actually fit him pretty well.
Yeah, I like that actually. I like Benicio del Toro a lot. I think it is just a weird use of Stellan Skarsgård. I don't know, just weird that he's the guy that gets put in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for him. I think he should get more prominent roles where he's maybe the main antagonist and stuff, but you could have pretty much thrown anybody in that fat suit and told him to, mumble at the mouth, and it probably would have been the same.
We should have gotten Christian Bale, and then he would have put on all the weight himself, and then
how much? 350? Yeah. That guy was pretty big. I don't know.
You just gotta go double what he did for Vice.
No biggie.
My recast is gonna be recasting that Jamis character guy, the one that Timmy thinks he's gonna be friends with and then decides to kill. Yeah. And I'm gonna put in Coleman Domingo, who I've talked about on the show in the past. He was in Zola, he was in the movie you like, The Candyman. Yeah. He also is what I think is the best part of Euphoria, maybe besides Zendaya. Coleman Domingo's character, which is he plays our sponsor in the show. I just think he's incredible. His voice is so deep. I don't know. It's just he's got an incredible voice. Got to shout out Coleman Domingo. So, and he's just a phenomenal actor. Every single thing that he's in, I think he's incredible. And he plays very different characters. I think the character he plays in Zola is crazy because he's playing two different roles, and he does a crazy Nigerian accent at one point. And it's Coleman Domingo. I mean, it's probably an underutilization of him, but I think it would be cool to see him even just in those few dream sequences, playing Paul's mentor for just a couple scenes.
Yeah, no, I should back that one. Much better pick than Bruce Willis. But,
and I mean, I guess he could probably do Gurney Halleck well too. I just don't know if he has the action chops. Really, I don't know if he's been in anything that is physical like that. So,
I mean, either way, he's got to fight Timmy. So,
right.
It works.
That's true. He does. You're right. I guess that's fair. But I think Gurney Halleck, you got to be a buff.
Yeah. You gotta be more intimidating, I think.
Yeah.
Have sort of that reputation of somebody who could kick your ass. But yeah, I actually like that pick a lot.
All right. Now we'll move on to our rating.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
Out of 69, still, we're keeping it classy. season 3, Cody, Dune, the greatest film ever not made, 69 out of 69. What do we got?
It'll be a bit farther away from 69. I don't know where the hell to rate this movie, dude. I feel like my rating is going to be super low, but I think I need to stick with it. I'm gonna go with the 54 out of 69. Dune, wrap it.
I like it. I gotta go higher.
Yeah.
49 out of 69. Still not crazy high for me, but 4.5 stars. Slots it in right between her and The Departed.
Wait, what'd you give it? 49?
Sorry, 59. My bad.
Oh.
And you said 54, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. 59.
Okay.
Not 49.
That makes more sense for you. I was like, what?
Yeah. So that's right above her, just below The Departed.
Yeah, that's a good spot for it, honestly, I think for you. It's probably, I mean, for me, it's somewhere in the middle. So there's a lot of stuff in the middle though. But yeah, I think this is still a good movie. I don't want to rag on it too much because it's obviously a good one.
Yeah, obviously we're looking forward to part 2 whenever it comes out. Obviously hasn't even started filming yet. I mean, that was at least the benefit of like the Lord of the Rings. Like they filmed those movies like in succession back to back. Like if they could have done that with this, I think Denis wanted to, but the studio said no.
He wasn't allowed to. Yeah, that's the big difference there. But I'm jacked for the sequel, to be fair. Yeah.
All right. And then now if you listen to our season finale episode, you remember that we're introducing the new category that we do after our rating here. Cody, do you remember what it's called?
What is it called? Blockbuster Hot Takes.
Blockbuster Hot Takes works, or we have a podgorithm.
Blockbuster video. Wow, what a difference.
That's what I refer to it as.
We have a podgorithm.
Which is a joke
I'll do that.
about... Yeah. It's a joke about an old billboard that Blockbuster used to have that said Netflix has a call or an algorithm. We have a callgorithm. Right. You could call Blockbuster, but you can't call Netflix. And we saw how that worked out for him. So I have this Blockbuster movie board game. Basically, there's a bunch of cards. It has basically every movie that's like somewhat famous is on these cards. We draw one card every movie. Cody and I get 30 seconds on the clock. And I'm going first today because last time everybody took what I was going to say. So you had 30 seconds, give a hot take, give your, basic initial thoughts about it. I'm drawing, no tomfoolery. We're talking about Dracula. Now, Dracula, there's a lot of different ways you can go with this, and he's a character. So let's, we can just, talk about.
Stalin.
You say he's like Stalin?
No, I said it seems like you're Stalin.
Start the timer. You ever heard of Bram Stoker's Dracula? Well, I've never heard of it, but or I've never seen it. But Bram Stoker, obviously, I believe, is the initial author of the Dracula movie. Well, let's talk about Dracula Untold. Aaron Eckhart, right? No, it's that other guy.
Luke Bell.
No. Bell. Luke Evans. Luke Evans. Yes. He's in. I remember it. Somebody in Fast and Furious. Dracula Untold. That's crazy. What's the Frankenstein? Aaron Eckhart did Frankenstein.
That's Aaron Eckhart.
Frankenstein. That's a bad movie. I never saw Dracula Untold. I think they were trying to start the MonsterVerse with Dracula, though, weren't they? Or was that The Mummy?
A little bit of both. Yeah.
I don't know. That's my time. That's what my thoughts on Dracula.
All right,
Cody, go.
Yeah, Dracula. I mean, I believe Keanu Reeves at one point played a version of Dracula, which is dope, incredibly kicking shit. Also, Gary Oldman, very good Dracula. Corbin's doubting me, but 100% that's true. And the Luke Evans version, I did like him a little bit more in the Fast and Furious as Jason Statham's, terrible brother who can't do anything right. But I think Dracula movies as a whole, not great.
Keanu Reeves was in it, but Gary Oldman was Dracula.
So I was right. Don't ever fact check me again.
I thought you said Keanu Reeves was Dracula.
No, I said he's in Bram Stoker's. Roll it back. But I think Dracula would have been an overrated character. But what's the name in Stranger Things? Bob Newby. He dressed up as him for Halloween. So I back that. Other than that, though, not a big fan.
Any thoughts on Vlad the Impaler?
Who's that?
He's like the real life person that Dracula is based on.
The guy from Transylvania.
Yeah.
The hotel.
Hotel Transylvania 3 or 6 or 4 or something.
I think 4.
Just came out.
4.
And speaking of things that just came out and things we can talk about, recommendations. Season 3, what have you been into, Cody? What do you got to recommend to the people?
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
I got a couple recs this week. Nothing.
It's been a while since we did this. It's been a couple weeks.
It has, and I didn't write down too much, so I'm sure I missed a lot. I'll gather up everything I've seen for the next couple episodes. But for off the bat, I did want to talk briefly about Game of Thrones. I'm actually on the season finale of season 3. And to say the least, shit's about to go down. So I'm hyped for that. And then as well, Corbin and myself actually checked out the first few episodes of Peacemaker, and I watched the next couple ones as well on my own. Interesting show. It's sort of.
Did you finish?
Did I finish the entire thing?
Yeah.
No.
There's only 8 episodes. I wasn't sure how much you watched.
I think I'm on. I think I have like 10 minutes left in 6.
Okay. I'm halfway through 8 right now.
Okay, you're ahead of me. Well, I was watching Game of Thrones today, to be fair. But the first episode was sort of exactly what I expected. And then after that, I don't know what the hell's going on mostly. But it's entertaining, and it's got some interesting themes behind it as well. James Gunn, he's going after some stuff that I really didn't think he's going to touch at all, which I think is interesting. But shit's about to go down in that as well. But overall, if you just like weird comic book stuff, I'd honestly recommend Peacemaker. Other than that, though, I don't know. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I think I want to talk about Peacemaker as well. I think it is pretty good. I think I enjoyed the character of Peacemaker more in the Suicide Squad movie, and I think expanding upon it hasn't necessarily increased the way I like him. I think the vigilante character is really interesting that they've introduced. It's a little annoying, but it's fun. I think a lot of the humor is just like take it or leave it. Like sometimes it's funny and sometimes it just like doesn't hit with me, but like it probably hits with other people. And I think that's just James Gunn can be a little bit like that sometimes. And this is like unfettered, nonstop, rated R. Like, let me put in every joke that I think of here. So some of the humor doesn't quite always hit, but I think it's an interesting storyline.
Sort of. I think the acting is also very bad.
So, okay, I want to talk about, in particular, I don't think the guy who plays Mern, the African-American guy, I can't remember his name. I think he's really bad in the show up until one specific moment that happens. I don't know if you've gotten to it or yet. I think it's in the 6th episode.
Possibly.
But I don't want to say anything about what happens. So, but like from his performance in the show, James Gunn basically cast him to what many people believe to be the villain of Guardians 3.
Ugh.
So
why? He's terrible.
I don't think he's good for most of it up until one particular scene where I think he does really well. But I agree. The acting over the top, like I think the Adebayo character is touchy from there. John Cena again, like I think he's really good. I think this role is good for him, but I don't think it's as good as when it was just in one movie, right?
I think James Gunn's wife is pretty bad too, or his fiance, whatever.
Oh, that's his fiance, huh?
Yeah.
Hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's terrible.
Yeah, I think the vigilante character is, it's right on what it needs to be. I
like vigilante. I like most of the characters. I just don't think the acting is very good.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, Peacemaker, we'll see how the resolution turns out. But I don't know if we needed another show about some white dude with daddy issues, but we got it. So that's my final 2 cents.
Yeah.
Because man, this dude's got some daddy issues.
Oh, he's got some big time daddy issues. About as bad of daddy issues as you can get out here.
Yeah, his father is something. T2 man himself.
I was so excited when I saw Robert Patrick's name in the opening credits, and then they make him this character, which is, fine and everything, but I expected better from Robert Patrick.
Just hitting on a couple things since the last time that we met. I haven't watched a ton because I've been pretty busy, but Robin, we talked about on the show for best animated short. I went and watched it. It's cute. Yeah, I can see it's really cool stop motion animation. It's a cute story, but it's not that great. No, I think I'll stick with Robin because it's on Netflix. However, I watched The Queen of Basketball, which is a documentary short, and I agreed with basically what Carter had said about it. It's just like it doesn't seem like an Oscar winner. So I probably will change I had picked that to win the Oscar. I'll probably change my pick before the time comes. We just have about a month now from today.
Yeah.
So it's just like a New York Times short, basically. It's like a journal, and they only interview her, and then the resolution kind of sucks. Like the end of the story sucks, the finale. But it's just because like it's what happened in real life. So they can't change like the way it ends. Like the whole thing is she's a great basketball player, and then an NBA team drafted her because there was no WNBA when she was playing, and an NBA team drafted her, and she just like decided to not go play.
Interesting. But I think you had said before it sort of is like a news report more than like a
yeah. Because she's really great. She's super charismatic. She's a lot of fun. So it's cool that she's highlighted so much, but it's literally just her doing the talking. There's like no interview with anybody else who like was there or saw it. So it's just kind of like,
lame.
Yeah. And then just a movie that I watched for the first time is called This Is Where I Leave You. I know Jackson's actually a big fan of it. It's Jason Bateman. It's actually got a pretty solid cast. Jason Bateman, Tina Fey. Yep, Corey Stoll, Catherine Hahn. We got some MCU names in here. Yeah. Adam Driver's here. Jane Fonda. No, I don't think Paul Rudd's in this. Dex Shepard's there. Ben Schwartz. Just a lot of big names in comedy, obviously. So, Jackson described it in his review on Letterboxd as like a coming of age movie for adults, and I think that fits really well. Adam Driver is phenomenal in this. Adam Driver is amazing and everything, but his character is just this huge asshole, and it's fantastic. Adam Driver is the best. So, definitely check out This Is Where You Leave You. It's on HBO Max.
Oh, is it? Nice. I might check that out, honestly.
Yeah.
Good Rex.
Alrighty. This is the end of our first episode of season 3. Thank you all for listening. Follow us at KHAP Podcast, KHAPODCAST on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And we're excited for a lot of great things coming in season 3. Guest on next week, some, more current movies, some drafts. So we've actually been recording some stuff this past weekend that you won't see for a while, that I think will be pretty fun. So a lot of things to look forward to. We hope you stick around. And if you want to be a guest, hit us up. Let us know.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Stay cap.
Peace.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.